Okay, so first I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Cecilia. I am a Spanish FLTA at the University of Scranton, and I am from Uruguay. So in today's presentation, I'm going to talk about Uruguay's location, population, economy, government, opportunities, and culture. So as you can see, Uruguay is located in South America, particularly in the east coast of Latin America, between Brazil and Argentina. It is located below the tropical zone and in the southern hemisphere, and that means that it has 4 seasons, and they are opposite to the United States. So right now, winter is about to start in Uruguay. It's getting pretty cold. Uruguay is the second smallest country in Latin America after Suriname. And if we compare it to Pennsylvania, even though it is 50% larger, only 9 million fewer people live in Uruguay. We are only 3.4 million. And almost half of the population live in Montevideo, which is Uruguay's capital. So the country is divided in 19 departments. Its official language is Spanish, but most of the departments in the north have a special dialect that is called Portuñol, which is a mixture between Portuguese, which is spoken in Brazil, and Spanish.
Cecilia, I'm going to interrupt you just very briefly. We're having a little trouble hearing you. There's some interruption with your sound. I'm not sure maybe to move the microphone closer or try using the computer sound. It's just a little hard to hear.
Is it better now?
It's still cutting out a little bit.
No? It is not good now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay. So, as I was saying, Spanish is the official language. In the north, Portuñol is spoken, which is a mixture between Portuguese and Spanish. Portuguese is spoken in Brazil. And English is used mainly for touristic purposes, and also it's taught as a second language in primary and secondary education. Population. As you can see in the chart, there's not much diversity in terms of race or ethnic groups. 87.8% of the population is descendant of European immigrants. And this is because during the 17th century, the Spaniards conquered the territory. And during the colonial period, most of our original populations were Indians called charruas. They were all killed. So unlike most of Latin American countries, there are no Indian descendants in Uruguay. However, there is a small percentage of mestizos who are mixed European and American Indian descent. And 4.6% are Afro-Uruguayans. Those are descendants of African slaves, because during the colonial period, these Spanish families started bringing slaves until 1842, when slavery was abolished, to Montevideo. Then we got the independence from Spain in 1828. And in the 20th century, a lot of Italian immigrants settled in Uruguay, basically escaping from the war. And that's why 45% of all the European descendants are Italians. When it comes to religion, there is not much diversity either. We have like 2 main religions that are Catholicism and Protestantism. But a lot of people don't believe in any type of God. And this is mainly related to the fact that the state and the church are separated since 1917. Actually, most of references to God in public spaces like cemeteries, schools, or hospitals were eliminated. Even religious holidays names were changed. So we call Family Day to Christmas and Tourism to Easter. And also, religion is not taught in schools. Regarding economy, our main industry is agriculture, and our most famous product is grass-fed beef, which is exported to a lot of countries. And fishery and row crops are very important, and also electricity. We sell electricity to Brazil and Argentina. And since a few years ago, Uruguay has changed its electricity matrix from petroleum-based to renewable sources. So 98% of our electricity comes from renewable sources, 60% from hydroelectric dams, and the rest from wind, solar panels, and biofuels. And tourism is also important in the economy of the country. All these red spots mark touristic places that people usually visit. The most popular ones are Colonia del Sacramento, which is in the west. And it's a very historical place. It is an older city. So people go there to learn about history, visit museums. And then in the east, which borders the Atlantic Ocean, there are a lot of beaches. There are, for example, this one is called Punta del Diablo, which is very bohemian. People go there to enjoy nature. And Punta del Este is much more modern. There are a lot of casinos and nightlife. Pretty much different from Punta del Diablo. Government. We have a representative democratic republic with a presidential system. The president governs for 5 years. And the voting system, apart from being secret and universal, it's also compulsory. So everybody aged 18 or more must vote. And the idea behind this is that the mandatory vote makes citizens active and involved in politics. So we vote directly to the president and its party. And the party that gets 51% of the vote, it's a winner. However, if none of them gets 51%, the two parties with most of the votes go to a second round. And this is what happened last year. And Luis Lacalle Pou got most of the votes. So he is our president now. And he will be our president until 2025. Our former president, Jose Mujica, he was very popular basically because of his lifestyle. He refused to live in the presidential house. He kept on driving his old car. And the most impressive thing is that he donated 90% of his salary to social programs. He was considered in a lot of countries as the poorest president of the world. However, he made very clear that he's not poor, that he's just simple and humble, and that he doesn't need too many things or too much money to have a happy lifestyle. And this is a philosophy that a lot of Uruguayans share. During his presidency, a lot of social programs took place, especially those regarding women's rights and LGBTQ rights. For example, in 2012, abortion was legalized, and also sexual health education programs were implemented in primary and secondary education. Basically, multidisciplinary teams consisting of psychologists and sexuality educators and teachers work together with students and talk and address sexuality and reproductive issues. And there are a lot of workshops that address toxic relationships, gender roles, and violence against women. And LGBTQ rights are very important. Since 2009, there are adoption rights for same-sex couples, same-sex marriage laws, and the last one, gender-affirming surgery and hormone therapy as a right and paid by the state. That leads me to my opportunity slides. Here I'm going to talk about healthcare, education, and housing programs. Regarding healthcare, all Uruguayans have health insurance. There are two main sectors. One is private and the other is public. Most Uruguayans choose the private sector because it's very affordable. We usually pay 3% of our salaries goes to the health system, but there are 56 public hospitals who give access to the elderly and people with pre-existing conditions. So it is pretty good. And also the best doctors work in the public system. In terms of education, Public education is totally free from preschool to master's and doctorate degree. I never paid anything to study. It's also secular. That means that religion is not taught in public education, and between 80 and 90% of students attend public education. It is compulsory from preschool to secondary, mid-secondary education, that is age 15. And that's why there is a high literacy rate. And there is a project that is starting in 2010 that is called One Laptop Per Child, and it's all teachers who work in public education and all students who attend it have a free laptop with Wi-Fi. And that became very important, especially during the pandemic. And finally, cooperative housing. This is a program in which a group of people get together to build and manage their own houses. This is a project that I joined last year. Usually there are certain steps. For example, first we have to obtain legal recognition and select an institution for technical assessment. This institution consists of an architect, an accountant, an engineer, and social worker. And we work together to obtain a loan from the state, particularly from the housing ministry. And with that money, we hire builders and manage their salaries. So on the one hand, we are the managers of this process, but on the other hand, we are also the workers, because we have to help the builders and work 21 hours per week helping them. All the decisions are taken democratically. We have to participate in assemblies. Even though it is time-consuming and kind of exhausting, it is one way of having your own house. So it's pretty good. There are 40,000 cooperative houses in Uruguay. Culture. Most of the cultural activity takes place in Montevideo. Montevideo, as I said, is the capital of the country. Most of the universities are there, theaters, and the two main activities are soccer, which we call football. This is like the most important sport. Then we also enjoy basketball, but not as much as football. There are two main teams, those are Nacional and Peñarol. And as a fun fact, the first World Cup was played in Uruguay, and we won it. And actually we won 2 World Cups. And the other activity that we enjoy a lot is Carnival, which is the longest in the world. It lasts 40 days from the end of January through mid-March. It takes place in Montevideo, and it starts with an inaugural parade that opens an official contest. So in this contest that lasts these 40 days of summer, a lot of groups, 39 groups, divided in 5 categories, perform in summer theaters. So this is the activity to do in summer. We go to summer theaters to observe Carnival. Regarding food, our main dish is asado, which is grilled meat cooked in parrillas. There are parrillas in all the houses in Montevideo, basically. And it's also an opportunity, since it takes a lot of time to cook it, it's like an opportunity to hang out, get together with friends, with family. And an interesting fact is that we also have a snack in the middle of the day that is called merienda. What we have for merienda is pretty similar to what we have for breakfast. It is coffee, tea, juice, cakes. And since we have this snack at 5 p.m., we have dinner pretty late, around 9, 10 p.m. So that was pretty different from here. As well as we have our national dish, we have our national drink, which is mate. Mate is a tea, a bitter tea. This is a gourd, and this tea is called yerba mate. And in these flasks, there's hot water. So we pour hot water and drink it from this metal straw. And it doesn't matter if it is cold or hot, or if it's the morning or at night, we drink mate all the time, everywhere. We usually walk with the mate under our arms. So here you can see the flea markets. People are walking, drinking mate. If you don't like mate, you are not Uruguayan. That is like the typical joke. And this is a video that kind of summarizes most of what I've said.
Naturaleza.
Tranquilidad. Fiesta. Encuentros.
Pasado.
Música.
Campo.
Playa.
Cultura.
Fútbol.
Thank you.